This is the Average to Savage podcast with Paul Guarino. Everyone and anyone, athletes, celebs, and much more.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Average Savage podcast. Our special guest today is Britain Hart Beltran. Britain, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great. You know, I feel like kind of today might be running around with our heads cut off like chicken, but hey, that wouldn't be fight camp if it wasn't like that some days.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you coming on. I know we've been trying to do this for a while, so I'm happy that we finally are here.
Super happy. I'm really excited. You know, I'm a huge fan of yours as well. Always be rocking on your team, and you same vice versa. So it's cool we get a minute to sit here and talk about just life and what's next.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go back in time a little bit. How did you get involved in boxing? Because I know that was your first profession in sports.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy because it really goes to the whole cliche and story. Everything happens for a reason. So I had just finished actually getting my master's degree, and I was going through a lot of personal pitfalls and like really bad relationship. And I ended up actually getting a DUI, which was like the worst thing ever, you know, trying to get yourself out of that hole. And like money, it's an expensive mistake, you know, it's a time consuming mistake. And then, you know, I couldn't get a job. I lost my job because of it. And then I kind of had to start again and thinking, how am I going to do anything? So anyways, I went to a boxing gym because I had all this extra time on my hand, and basically went in there and was like, I need my ass beat. You know, I suck at life and here I am. And they were like, okay. So it was a very weird, bizarre situation. But, you know, my fourth day in the boxing gym, I ended up sparring, and they were like, oh shit, who is this girl? And it was a shocker to me too, honestly. Like it was just a natural talent. And after that, it was like, I think maybe like 3 months, they were like, you know, I was having a lot of money problems. They were like, you can fight for money. And I was like, no, like you have to be doing this your whole life. Like I'm 26. I can't be just doing this now. They're like, no, you know, so I was definitely naive in the beginning. Now that I'm very, you know, I had a very hard landing in boxing politics, fight world, combat sports, politics. And I figured it out really quick. But my first fight, man, it was like, this was, you know, my why. Like, this is the purpose. This is really where I'm supposed to be. That's how I like genuinely felt on my first fight. And here we are. I'm going into my 20th pro fight. So we're really talking about a span of 6 years.
Yeah, that's crazy. Did you play any sports growing up?
Yeah, I did. I grew up in Turkey and then Germany. And so I actually didn't come to the States until I was 10. So like my all like very younger years were overseas, and soccer was really big. So I was always playing soccer, and I was definitely, you know, they didn't have boys or girls. It was always co-ed. So I played with the boys, and I was a very, you know, I was a rough and tumble type of girl. Like I would come home with like snakes and scorpions, and you know, I loved being outdoors. I loved being in the parks and like climbing trees. So inherently, I always came home with like bruises and got banged up really early on as a kid. Plus, we were in a different time and different culture over there. You know, like we didn't really have people like helicopter watching and monitoring us. So we got in fights all the time as a kid. It was just a normal thing to come home with like black eyes and be like, I tripped and fell, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's funny and crazy, and that makes sense that you played soccer overseas.
Yeah.
And then like just going from boxing to bare knuckle boxing, how did that come about? And then two, like what's the difference?
Yeah. So my first boxing manager was, you know, the first person who like sold me on the dream I can make money and make a difference. And you know, I do have to give him a shout out for making me truly believe that, because he did. But on the other hand, he definitely expected a lot of other things, you know. So it's hard being a female in the sport and being taken advantage of. So once that became an issue, you know, it was kind of like he kind of threatened me and wanted to like blackball me and try to tell other gyms I was crazy and not to work with me. So I kind of took it like very personal, and was like, well, he basically threatened me and said, you'll never box without me. You won't go anywhere without me. And so I made it like a really big mission of mine to make sure that I was somebody and did really well, regardless of him and without him. And so that drive really kept me like hungry in boxing. So when Bare Knuckle reached out to me, I had a huge boxing fight in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And so I told Bare Knuckle, nah, thank you for thinking of me, but I'm really trying to work on boxing. I lost that boxing fight, which was really, it was very, very close, but I definitely stood out. And a lot of people were like, whoa. So I went out to California. And when I was in California, I fell in love with it out there. But once again, the common reoccurring problem, I didn't have any money. And so when Bare Knuckle hit me up again, I found myself like asking a bunch of people, and they were like 50% were like, that's crazy, no. And then 50% was like, well, you can use this money to go to California. What do you got to lose? And I found myself still asking. So I knew right then and there that I wanted to do it, because I would have made a decision myself. I wouldn't have kept looking for like the validation to go do it. So I said, yeah, sure, let's go ahead and do it. And I gave it my 100%, and that was against Beck Rawlings, which ended up in a split decision, which I clearly feel like I was robbed. And now, rewind a couple years, we got to have the rematch, and I beat her, because now we're on equal playing fields where, they can't rob me, because I've been around and built myself up, they can't do it anymore. So, but yeah, I to be honest with you though, with the Bare Knuckle, I really wasn't expecting to love it so much. And we're talking about me losing, on paper. In my head, my heart, my mind, I knew I won, and a lot of people gave me that respect. So even though it was a loss, it was like kind of cool, because I was like, man, maybe I belong here. Like maybe I can be somebody here, because boxing is so hard for women. Being at a less weight class, they fall out all the time, whatever dumb mistakes, they definitely shortchange you. So like just, making it apparent, like everyone look out for like the equal pay opportunity. Women definitely do not get paid as much as men. So it's hard to scramble and find promoters and fights as a female. So Bare Knuckle really gave me that platform where it feels like people don't really like are treated more equal, I would say. You see there's definitely more men on the cards, but that's because there's not as many females who really actually want to fight Bare Knuckle. But when they do go on there, they're hyped up, they're given a huge platform. A lot of times you see women main events, co-main events, and featured fights. So it just felt like I could do a lot with that sport. And I climbed the ladder and I didn't give up. And, I ended up being like voted fighter of the year, and then, go for the title shot, beating all these UFC people. So it just it makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's the cool thing about like, well, one, the production of bare knuckle boxing, and just like how they promote people. It's like kind of like UFC and like Bellator-esque. So I think that's cool. And obviously in boxing, unless you're with like a top promoter, then you're just not even really promoted, essentially. So
Exactly.
yeah, so that's why, for those that don't know, you guys could check it out. But yeah, and then yeah, like you had huge wins, like you beat Paige Van Dam, like they were obviously hyping her up, and she was in the UFC, has like millions of followers or whatever. So what was that win like?
That was really the big turnaround. It's funny, we can laugh about it now, and some people it really means something to, but that's kind of like where the whole I'm a feeling came from, because it was like being able to go out there and beat such a big name, so many eyes and so many people watching, is like really, I feel like that feeling we're all kind of like after and craving, like that approval, and that you just made it, and that you did something big with your life. And now you don't have to be living in the shadows, you kind of get out of that. So for me, that was a step, because I was doing good, and I was doing great before the Paige Van Sant fight, but my name was always like in the shadows. Like I was always just kind of lurking. And then in that fight, it was like, you couldn't not see me. You couldn't not acknowledge that I'm a fighter, and a really good fighter. So yeah, it was awesome. I felt like I was well prepared for it. I had the best mental game. My coach was Coach Haas out in Ventura, California. He really made a difference in my life. And same thing with my friend Jazz and Diane. They were really like something new and different for me in a fight, not having like that much support. So having that taste and going forward, I realized like it was really what made the difference. So now, having people like my husband Joey and my friends Jennifer and Hannah and my kids, just people like that are really, really behind me. It really helps continue the win and success because people now believe in you.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I was gonna ask you, so you and Joey been married for a year now, or how long have you guys been going out before that?
Yeah, so we started dating like technically March 17th, so St. Patrick's Day of 2021.
Yeah.
And then we got married in July of that same year. And so now it's been over a year that we've been married. So this March will be 2 years together, and this July will be 2 years married. So pretty quick, but at the same time, it was like something that we just knew. It was, even now, I could never look at him and think, you're my boyfriend. It would be
Yeah.
so weird because our connection was so deep and like intense and passionate that it was like boyfriend and girlfriend just wasn't the right thing.
Yeah. Now, my real question is like, what is that like to have a fighter as a husband too? Like, how much does that help you?
It helps. It helps a lot. It really puts things kind of in an even playing field because, like, for example, like with this fight coming up, I told Joey after the Beck fight was really, really hard. We had a really hard time with that fight mentally and emotionally. And I was like, I'm done fighting for 2023. Like, I'm done. We're gonna go back to Virginia. We're gonna take a break and we'll come back in 2023 and figure some shit out, make some big moves. So we go home, we're in Virginia for like 2 weeks, and all of a sudden I get a call and they're like, yeah, I'm the best manager ever. And I'm like, what? Like, not the answer I was wanting. I'm like, well, what did you do? And they're like, well, how about this title fight September 10th, 115? And I'm like, what? Like, oh my God, I can't say no to a title. So, anyways, making it relevant to your question, I feel like it was a lot of stress and pressure on me because my spouse and partner that I just told we're taking a break. How do I switch that and be like, well, just kidding, we're not taking a break? Someone who wasn't a fighter would probably be mad or give you a hard time and be
Yeah.
like, you said this. But being that he's a fighter, he looked at me and I'm sure he wants a break. I'm sure this is a lot going back into another fight camp so quick. But him being a fighter, he understands. And he's like, look, this is your job. This is who I fell in love with. I understand. And it's for a damn title. So we're going to go get it. So it's cool to have that support and mentality on like, just normal people don't understand the stress and like physical and mental thing we go through, and have someone really understand it kind of gives you like that free get out of jail card.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. That's dope though. And so you are going down in weight is I know you, but in boxing you fought at like 118, correct?
Right. Yep. That was like, that's my true weight. That's my
Yeah.
favorite weight. Um, I walk around at 122, so it kind of makes me feel like at 118 I get to be a real fighter and go in the sauna and do like a little quick cut to feel, it feels kind of cool to go through the motions. Believe it or not, I know it sounds crazy, but we
Yeah.
fighters will bitch and cry and be like, oh, I gotta cut weight. But then, if you don't fight for like a year, you're like, man, I really miss cutting weight. So
Yeah.
I've heard it a lot from other fighters too. So, anyways, it was cool to feel that way. But the 125 classics in bare knuckle, that was the only weight class they had. So
Yeah.
if you notice, if you watch all my fights, all these girls are way bigger than me. They've been bigger than me from day one. And it's like, I never try to let that be an excuse. But it does feel really good to go down I feel like my true weight class.
Yeah, for sure. So your opponent, I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name, but I believe her first name is Fanny.
Yeah, I know. I've heard it before, and I don't want to mess it up right now because I'm not
Yeah.
thinking clearly. So I don't want to. But Yeah, if I heard it, I would be able to tell you.
So her background is Muay Thai and I guess boxing, is what I researched. So have you like watched film on her?
I did actually, because like I said, I was really shocked when they told me the 115 title. I'm like, against who?
Yeah.
And I looked this girl up, and I will definitely be honest. And I was like, oh my God, how did I miss that fight? Because it's a freaking awesome fight.
Yeah.
Her and that girl, but she won over split decision, so it was super close. And I mean, I really could have gone either way, but it was a hell of a fight. I mean, constant action. Um, both really tough girls. And so I was like in awe that there was such a fantastic female fight out there in bare knuckle that really, I don't, maybe not too many people know of. So with that being said, I was like, oh, this girl, like, she's not a 1-0 bare knuckle fighter. Like, what is up with her? So going back and doing my research, I saw she has like 90 Muay Thai fights, and really decorated in her Muay Thai career. So that's pretty cool. Give her a lot of respect for that. She looks tough as shit. I think it's cool she's from Greece and moved over to Thailand. Kind of says something about how much it means to her, like to actually move away from her home to perfect her sport and her craft that she wants. But again, I'm definitely treating it as what I just told you. When I saw her first bare knuckle fight was a really good, hard, very, very excellent match. And so I'm definitely treating it like I'm fighting Christine again, or somebody who's twice the size as me, and go from there. But, I do feel, I am one of those people that I really try to be like proud of my boxing background, and that not many people in bare knuckle really have a true boxing background. They're more like MMA or the Muay Thai fighters. And so I'm really like happy to take this like advantage and be like, man, no one knows boxing better than me. We're not kicking, we're not wrestling, we're not takedowns.
Yeah.
So I feel awesome in that. So I wonder, I just don't ever know what it'd feel like to come across someone who's like, oh, they're an actual boxer.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it about the bare knuckle? Like a lot of MMA fighters, it seems like they lost in their boxing matches, but in bare knuckle, like they're like decent, like better than like what's it like? Well, why?
I know. I'm trying to figure that out too, because I would have always thought that boxing would have the upper hand over these MMA guys, but it just doesn't seem like the boxing people are really pulling it out. But I do think there has to do something with like the whole UFC thing, because bare knuckles bringing a lot of the UFC and the MMA people in to get that crowd.
Yeah.
And in boxing, I think that it's like a lot harder to find those people that are willing to do it, because they're like signed with different promotions like Golden Boy or like PBC. And I feel like they have this like, I don't want to say warped, but a very strong belief that their hands get messed up, their career in boxing is ruined. Where MMA is like, they're like, well, my hands are messed up. Who cares? They're used to like knees and elbows and kicks and all that other crazy shit. But I just feel like, boxing just really hasn't had the right type of dirty, gritty people, because they are used to babying their hands a little bit. And maybe the clinch, maybe that has something to do with it. But you can see I never fought MMA, and I rock the clinch just as easy as an MMA person would.
Yeah. Yeah, that I think that would be dope if like a big women's boxer came and fought you in bare knuckle.
Yeah, and we ask, there's definitely been some names thrown around, and it's funny, and I'm not like putting them under the bus or anything, and I won't say their names, but there's some really good ones out there that have been offered and that I've talked to, and they're like, fuck that. Like, we're not going over there unless they're paying like really, really good, because and it doesn't even go to their face. Nobody's like, I'm gonna get cut up in my face. They're like, I'm not messing my hands up. Like, that seems to be like the thing that people are most worried about. So it's hard to find. I really have not, I just met a boxer, actually. She's actually a WBC champ, Pink Tyson, and she is a big boxer, and she's going over to bare knuckle. So she's pretty much the only other boxer I know that's going from boxing over to bare knuckle.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited for her. But I think, same thing. She is like that real, true, tough, gritty fight style that I feel like makes boxers more apt and perfect for the sport.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so what are we gonna see on September 10th?
You're definitely gonna see an involved Brit. I mean, and it's so crazy. You guys see me every fight. You never know what you're gonna get because it's something new. But I mean, for me, I've never felt faster and quicker and ironically more powerful at this weight. So you guys, I really expect you to see like the best version so far. I definitely don't want it to go all 5 rounds. I would love for it to make a statement, but I've learned one thing, that when you go looking for a certain result, you end up getting your feelings hurt. So I'm just going to go in there, and whatever happens, happens. This girl's an excellent fighter. I feel like my career and diversity has made me prepared for any and everything. And I really just feel like this weight class is going to be something I really have to own and like really make a statement owning it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I got a few more questions for you. What advice would you give to a young fighter?
A young fighter, I guess I would, let's see, what would the best advice I could give them? Like, do you really want to fight? Like, really wholeheartedly want it? Because it can be a lonely road, it can be a painful road, it can be a hard road. And once you give me that answer, yes, you really want it, just know that you have to go out there and be willing to do the things that other people don't. Because check it out, there's so many people who want to be where you're at. There's so many people, literally, not figuratively, literally fighting each other for the spot that you want. And so you have to be willing to do that. And I feel like once you accept those terms, you got to have acceptance first. Once you accept it, I don't think there's nothing that can stop you and hold you back. But you just got to like, kind of like, I'm going to throw like Star Wars and be like Yoda out there. You just got to let go of everything you fear to lose, because man, it's a painful road if you get too upset in what you lose in boxing or in fighting for that fact.
Yeah, I like that. All right, you ready for some fun questions?
Yes.
All right, who's your favorite boxer, male and female, all time?
My favorite all-time boxer, female. Gosh, that's such a hard one. I'm gonna go toss up with Bonnie Mann and Carrie Flock, even though it's kind of funny they both hate each other. But I love them both. They're both heroes and role models to me that have been in the game for a long time. And they're doing exactly what I want to do now with their retirement, which is reaching out to other people. So shout out to them. And male, I'm just always gonna have to go with the greatest, Muhammad Ali. So I look at him a lot and listen to his stuff and reference his things a lot and quote him probably the most. So he's probably my favorite.
Oh, what about fight prediction? You're familiar with Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall?
Yeah, I am. I actually have a friend who I see every day who's training with her and who's her sparring partner. So that's pretty cool. She's actually training here in Miami.
So who do you think's gonna win that?
I you know, if I'm not saying, that should probably give you your answer. But I don't know. It sucks because I want to be supportive of my friend and her team, but I'm probably going the other way around on this.
All right, I got you. Last one. What's something people don't know about you?
Oh man. I don't know. I'm pretty open book, but I guess it's, again, going to outdoors. So I told you earlier I have a master's, but I minored in outdoor recreation. So it's kind of funny because I have a 4.0 GPA, and a lot of people, when I say it, they're like, shut up, Britain. Like, you got that in kayaking and backpacking, which is funny because there's a bunch of other classes I took too, but backpacking and kayaking were both classes I got A's in, of course. And so I really love outdoors. I really just can't express enough how much I love like hiking and like Oh, here's something perfect. Boom. You guys are going to be like, whoa, what a nerd. So I was in a rock club for like 4 years.
Oh,
Like,
rock club?
yeah. And then I
Like
gave my
rocks.
rock.
Like
Yeah. Like every month they send you a new rock and tell you like what it is. And I gave it to my son, right? Because like passing it down, because it really means a lot to me. It's a very important rock collection. I passed it down to my son and he dumped it all out. And I was like, oh, give them back. I was like, you're not appreciative of this. You'll have it later. So I took my rocks back because I was upset he dumped them all out.
That's hilarious. Well, I appreciate it. And could you let the listeners know where to follow you at on social media?
Yeah, definitely follow me. I'm on, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all at Team Britain Beltran. Definitely feels like I'm on Insta the most. So don't get any hurt feelings if I don't answer you on the other platforms. It's hard enough dealing with one, but definitely follow me on there. It means a lot to me. And my link is in my bio if you guys want to catch my fight September 10th. So you can order it on there. If you go ahead and order it right now, you get a whole month free. So you get to watch my fight for free. After that, it's only $4.99. But check me out on there. Got a lot of good things coming up. And especially when we win this title, I'm really planning to do some great things that involve all of you guys. So definitely give me a follow.